Welcome everyone to this edition of Soulful Sessions Cosmic Forecast for the month of June. I am Amalia Natalio here with Madeleine Parker, and we are going to be sharing with you the highlights, the cosmic forecast for the month of June. And June, from a conversation Madeleine and I were having before recording, June is a really interesting month. We've got some, how shall I say, some very fascinating energy to work with, some past energy that's going to trickle back in again. We've been dealing with a good amount of that with this most recent full moon eclipse. And there's also some freshness coming in and some newness and rejuvenation, if you will. So Madeleine, thanks again for being with us.
Yes, thanks for having me, Amalia. I'm so glad we're doing these all the time because it has me really stop and focus in on the whole month, and I get a lot out of it too. So
Yay. Well, I know that our listeners really enjoy having this like place to touch into, a place to get a sense for the month ahead. I think most of us, it's really great to have, okay, I now in my head, I know that these few days might be a little bit tricky, or at the end of the month might have a couple hiccups. And when you know that, you can prepare. So when the hiccup happens, you don't get completely derailed. You recognize, oh, wait, I know why this is happening, and I know exactly what to do to understand it better so that I can navigate it easier. And then the next thing you know, you're on the other side of it and it feels so much better. So
well,
it's
this
great.
month I would change the word hiccup to the Tower card in tarot, like big hiccup, but like it could be crisis, but it's going to be change because
Oh,
that eclipse.
okay.
So you might want to, this is the really good reason to do it, is because you can anticipate where this big change is going to occur, because these eclipse season bring change. The last lunar eclipse, full moon lunar eclipse, brought the emotional change internally. Now we're going to see the external change in this next eclipse. So you often see a crisis. I pull the Tower card in everybody's reads a bunch of times.
That sounds great. Be able to have, the two in tandem, have the emotional component as well as the physical component, doing the inner work in order to transform the outer. And that's a big piece of what most of us are here to do. I mean, that's what we're here to do.
That's what the eclipse does, is it changes, it speeds up the inevitable, it brings on the inevitable. So this change was occurring. You can already kind of feel it, people can probably already feel it, but on that day when all these planets line up, because there's other lining planets involved in this eclipse, it happens like boom. It could happen a few days before, but also the change will play out. The crisis or the pinnacle turnaround, or the information, because it's in the sign of Gemini, the pivot that occurs during this time will play out through a 6-month period.
Yeah. So it's not like your whole world will be turned upside down and bam, it's just something, there will be a catalyst. There will be something that happens.
You either meet someone, you end a relationship, relationships end on eclipses, you quit a job on an eclipse, you could get fired, but it's for your highest good so that you come onto your true path. It's a crisis. It's how you judge it. It's neither good nor bad. It's the shift, it's the change, it's the turn in your direction towards your inevitable true destined. Because it's happening. The North Node is at Gemini, I think around 16 degrees, and this eclipse is happening in Gemini at 20 degrees. So you're looking at a 5-degree variance, which is pretty. If for eclipses we give a 10-degree orb and 10-degree variance, so you are looking at a very tight energetic connection between these two forces, which is the North Node, which is your destiny, your calling, your purpose. So people are really going to be information and education and small businesses. Communication, writing, things that put you really on your true path, your true calling.
Well, and we have Mercury in retrograde right now as well. I mean, that happens, at the end of May.
Yeah.
So do we want, where do we want to start, Madeleine? So you want, let's maybe at the beginning of the month, and then we'll see how that trickles into the new.
Do you want to share the screen? Should we let me know if you can see it? I've got you on chart at the moment. Today is
yeah, I don't think we can today. We didn't set it up that way. So why don't you just share with us?
I try sharing it. Watch. I know this is a podcast, so majority of your people can't hear, but if we're going to put it on YouTube, it might be helpful. I don't know. Did it come through?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
we
Well, I'll
didn't do
just,
the settings, and I don't want to. Let's just
sure.
keep rolling
Yeah.
for the moment, and
Yeah.
we'll set that up for everyone next time because I
Okay.
think you're right. I think that is really very helpful.
Okay. Well, for now, I'll just tell everybody. We'll just do it verbally. So the beginning of the month, we start out Sun in Gemini. We have quite a few planets in Gemini. We have Mercury retrograde in Gemini. It went into retrograde the end of last month of I think the 26th of May. I'm
I
not
think
sure.
29th.
Oh, 29th at the end. We
Yeah.
also have Saturn in retrograde. So we've got a couple planets in retrograde. Plus we have Pluto in retrograde. We're going to have Jupiter in retrograde by the end of the month. So we've got quite a strong retrograde energy, which is mostly about going back to the past, people from the past, Mercury retrograde, communication from and the Gemini, the sign of lovers. It could be past lovers will come into a lot of people's lives and communicate to either resolve old issues, old karma, that then enables you to progress forward because we have this eclipse. Oh wait, we're not talking about the eclipse yet, but right now as the month comes in, we have the sun right on the North Node. So people are going to be energized to their higher callings because we've got Saturn in retrograde. So whatever project is coming up to be redone, reworked, Saturn retrograde has already been in retrograde when we start this month, but there is something going on in everybody's life from the past that's you're redoing better, you're adding a better foundation, you're going back, and it is your true destiny. It is what you're supposed to be doing. It is your North Node, but you're going to go back and do it better, do it right, work harder. But you know, I have my Saturn in retrograde, so I like this energy. I like it. You're going to slow down. These are retrograde planets, slow you down a little bit so that you go inward, you become more aligned, you make choices more from an inner aligned energy, which will put you more on your true north node path, your true mission, and most likely involving a romance because your romantic partner or your marriage or your twin flame, because we've got Mercury in retrograde from the past in the sign of lovers, Gemini, and we have Venus in Gemini too at the start of the month. Although as the month goes on, sorry if I sound like I'm like a weather reporter, but that is kind of what we're doing here. But then as the month goes on, we're going to see planets, Jupiter going into retrograde, Mercury and Venus are going to move into Cancer. The sun's going to move into Cancer at the end of the month. The North Node's going the other way towards Taurus. So
So it feels like as the month goes on, like the energy is shifting, not just with the sun. I mean, obviously when the sun moves from Gemini, an air sign, to Cancer, a water sign, there's a shift of energy, but you've got a number of other planets, from what I'm hearing, that are also moving
yeah.
into Cancer. So,
And
you know,
plus, right now we have Mars in Cancer, which is a little bit of a frustrating energy for the masculine energy because it's a little bit muddy. It's a little bit heavier.
yeah,
Fire energy likes to have it likes to be in fire signs, or Earth, but it likes Capricorn. But watery, it sort of slows it down. The masculines are a little more sensitive, more frustrated, but you know, those are the energies that slow us down so that we can be more introspective, so that we can really get ready to be on our true paths. And in fact, if you're having a hard time while Mars is in Cancer, it's probably because you're going the wrong way and it's heavier and harder to go the wrong way. But if you're in flow, water sign flow, it's not so hard. Does that make sense?
yeah, that does. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. So for anyone right now who may be feeling, you know, at this beginning of this month of June, if you're feeling like things aren't working quite right and it feels heavy, if that energy feels heavy and you feel like you can't really gain momentum, it's probably because you're not meant to gain momentum in this particular area of your life. It may be a good time to reevaluate. And I mean, we've got Mercury in retrograde supporting that. You know, that's the energy of reevaluation and review. And so how cool that the planets are all very much lined up to support
Yes.
this period of time.
Yeah, Mercury is conjuncting Venus by 4 degrees, but we do have some challenging things as far as we have Uranus squaring Saturn, which is going to aspect and perfect, I think June 5th, 14th. I'll push this forward in a minute. And then we
Okay.
also have Mercury squaring Neptune, which causes fogginess, communication confusion, ideas confusion. So you want to watch out for information or communication that's deceptive. You know, there are reasons to be cautious this month as well. Saturn squaring Uranus could be out, could be some more rebellion going on, or you know, social unrest, demonstrations around the information that comes in on the eclipse. I don't want to jump ahead, but oh, just to go at the beginning of the month, we're looking at Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. Jupiter is going to retrograde, I think, at a 4° at the end of the month.
Okay.
Early July. So yeah, Jupiter in retrograde in Pisces. Jupiter right now in Pisces is a really good energy, really abundant financial. And then at the beginning of this week, we have a Venus trine Jupiter, which is extremely romantic and loving energy, or project could be very abundant, very harmonic, very flow. Trines or flows. So that's this first week. We've got, let me find that. Venus square sky Chiron. That's yeah, we have Venus trine Jupiter starting on the June 6th. Let me see, or did I go past it? I think Venus trine Jupiter happens like on the 4th this week. Let's see. Yeah, Venus Jupiter trine. Yeah, Venus trine Jupiter is going to aspect around the 3rd. So that day this week, people are going to see possible communication from past lovers. Relationships that are supposed to be together will probably come together during this period. I have Jupiter conjunct my moon right now, which is really auspicious time. I've been getting a lot of work. And I also have Venus on my ascendant trining. So something really good will happen for me, either relationship wise or finance wise, or both.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, go ahead.
But I was going to say, so for people, if you were talking about this energy, if people are currently in a relationship, would it be a really beautiful enhancement to a relationship that's already good? Or
yeah.
Okay, so
it's
a
step up during this period. It'll be a very aligning period. It'll either like, let's say you're dating, you might step up into marriage, more commitment. I get a lot of that in my card reads right now. A lot of commitment marriages coming into play. Yeah, and if you're single, you'll possibly meet your divine love. But Mercury, Neptune in there. Neptune is also soulmate, spiritual. So, you know, and Gemini is the energy of divine true love.
Gemini is.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So everything, again, it's so perfectly lined up. That's so cool.
This week. So that's the first week of June, right? It looks pretty darn good, huh?
That is pretty darn good. Coming out of the gate hot. There we go.
Yeah.
In a good way. In a good way.
Yeah.
And then the second week, that's when we get into the eclipse time.
Yes. So let's shoot ahead here towards June the 10th, which is this powerful eclipse in a new moon solar eclipse. It's an annular eclipse, which means the moon is smaller than the earth. Sorry, smaller than the sun. So it creates a ring. And it's happening at about 20 degrees Gemini, which I'm trying to think what time. I don't know the exact time. You have to look that up. But anyway,
it's
early in the morning.
6:53 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Okay, yeah, so it's like 4:18 a.m. Western. But just so everyone knows, it's not great to watch eclipses. It's not really good. The animals run away. Native Americans don't do it. So it's kind of a weird energy reset that can maybe delete all your downloads or something. I don't know. It sounds crazy, but there's some reason. I got pushed out, spiritually really pushed away from the last eclipse, being outside. So anyway,
we're talking about the last solar.
Yes, I went on a walk, and then this by the lake, and this like spirit energy was really strong, just pushing me to go back in, just go inside. And I thought there was like an animal or dangerous animal, and I kept saying no, it's just don't be out in this energy. Like,
it's so funny that you mentioned that, because I don't recall when it was. There was a huge one, the one that was everybody was talking about it around the world a couple of years ago maybe. And that one, we actually did a little, like, just my family and I just did a small little thing outside, and I remember being out there feeling really weird. It didn't feel like, something about what we were doing didn't feel quite in alignment with what was happening. And I was really ready to just go back inside. So funny that you reminded me of that.
You're probably being nudged by spirit, and you're being, hey, like, because if you notice during eclipses, no, you don't hear any birds chirping, or it's very still time. So
good reminder for us to really
yeah,
like follow animal guidance, follow nature's.
they know they
There,
don't have free choice. We have free choice to check in on our intuition and whether we listen. The animals don't.
that's very
That's
interesting.
why we do astrology. We listen to astrology. That's why I do tarot, because now I align with my true guidance, with higher guidance, like the animals do.
Well, and if anyone would like to join Madeline and I on the new moon, the cool thing is this new moon is on June the 10th, which is a Thursday. For those of you who have been following along with us for a little while, know that we do a live the Thursday before, and this time it happens to be the same day as the new moon. And so we're going to do a slightly different thing this month. We're going to be coming to you at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on the 10th. And we're going to do our usual live, and we're then going to close out with a short new moon ritual. And so we really would love for you to join us. It's going to be really fun. Plan on spending a little bit of extra time with us. I know we usually run about an hour for the live, so plan on maybe an hour and a half, an hour and 20 minutes. And come with your questions, come with your intentions. Like it's going to be a really beautiful experience. We hope that you are able to join us on Instagram on the 10th, and that you can find that on my profile. I'll be going live at Karmic Kindness. So please do join us, and Madeline will be sharing information about every single sign. So she's just gonna be sharing a basic overview now, but if you really want to get in there and get into the nitty gritty, definitely join us then. And there will of course be a replay that you can catch later too, but coming live is really super fun. So we hope you're there. All right. Yeah. So what's the overview energy of this coming new moon eclipse?
Oh yeah, so it's in the sign of Gemini at 20 degrees. So you want to look on your chart to see where you have Gemini at 22 degrees. For me, that's in my 12th house. And then also the 6th house gets activated. Well, for me, it'll be my 6th house. So wherever Gemini covers, then Sagittarius is also in the picture for you. It's across your chart. Whatever planets you can have in those signs are going to be mega hits. Mega shifts for you. I don't have it's not hitting any of my planets, but at the same time, I've got Jupiter trine Venus on my moon and my ascendant. So something good's going to happen. But point is that it's information because it's happening in the sign of Gemini. There could be either quitting small businesses, information that comes in that changes your mind, and you quit a job, because third house is neighbors, siblings, friends. Gemini is the energy of the third house, communication, tech, sort of day-to-day technologies as well. Uranus is a technological sign. So basically you're looking at information that changes your mind about something, that makes you either quit something or change something or start something, because it's happening on a new moon, which is usually an initiating energy. However, something will be released. So it may feel like crisis, letting that go, but something for me, for example, I'm probably going to release an old belief system because it's in my 12th house, it's spiritual. But I may become like on that solar and the full moon lunar, I became more into tarot card reading. So I may probably begin a spiritual mission, a mission project, a soul calling. But again, it's with all these retrograde planets, it will have already been initiated one time before, and I would have left it, or but during this eclipse, because it's happening on the North Node here, there is going to be an initiation or someone from the past coming back, communicating, and information coming in that changes your mind and redirects you to your true path, your true North Node, your true calling. And it'll most likely involve a partnership. And also with Saturn in retrograde and Jupiter going into retrograde, it's most likely bringing a project back in from the past that needs done right, slower, because something from the past that needs to be worked on is going to be auspicious. You're going to see that it's worthy of taking forward. So something's going to happen in the eclipse, information that gives you a renewed enthusiasm for a project from the past that you then see as working now. And so you're going to be letting go of an old limiting belief that you couldn't do it, or you are on the wrong project and you're going to center more onto your true calling, because that's where the abundance is going to lead you that way. You're going to see an abundant opportunity, communication coming in. And third house could be siblings, could be neighbors. So neighbors or friends from the past coming in with communication that shifts something pretty strong, and your calling becomes activated.
Wow, it's a biggie.
Yeah,
Easy.
like I said, in all my card reads, I'm pulling the Tower card over and over and over. Everybody that I'm reading for are finding big shifts and changes occurring, like surprising information. Not to mention, we've got that Saturn square Uranus happening, but this eclipse in Gemini is surprising information. That's another way of saying it.
Yeah.
That changes your life. We're talking about life changes here. But these are changes that are good for you. They are going to take you to your abundant, a stronger, create a better structure for a future. It's going to be to restabilize something that is your future, that needs a good, strong foundation. Because Saturn is all about the structure and the foundation. But also we are going to look at some more possible upheavals, social unrest. On the macro level, we're going to see people challenging the government, the status quo, the structure that needs to change and adapt to the new ways that are coming in here with Uranus in Taurus. And a lot of it, that is finances. But we're also possibly looking at earthquakes, volcanoes during that period, because it peaks around June 14th. And that could be possible upset, challenging on the status quo. So something comes up in this eclipse, information revealing something that people get up and march against.
Yeah. And the first thing that came to mind for me was when you mentioned that was Canada. The US is beginning to open up more post, COVID, and Canada is, I think they may be just now opening up, maybe tomorrow. Like, they've been on lockdown since
They're very strict.
Over a month. Yeah, and I know I have some friends that live there, and they're just so frustrated. I mean, just beyond frustrated. So to see that, I don't know why when you mentioned that, that really jumped out, where it's like, people can only take but so much before they're like, enough is enough. We're not doing this anymore.
Yeah. And this happened before. This is going to happen 3 times this year that it perfects aspects, because it went forward one time, February 17th, and now it's going to go back and hit it again because it's Saturn, who went into retrograde. Then it goes back the 3rd time, and the 3rd time will be, I think, New Year's Eve or Christmas, end of the month, end of the year. And the 3rd time that any of these transits happen, it's the real lessons are learned, the positive aspects of it show up, the real shift happens. Yeah, it's sort of the culmination. So this will be sort of like going back and revisiting some of this stuff. I would say that although some astrologists, because Saturn is on the right side of Uranus is facing in, that Saturn is going to be stronger and more restrictive. But Saturn is in Aquarius. So I think it's more supportive to the people.
It'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, and Jupiter is going to retrograde into Aquarius too, which I think gives support to the people. So we'll see how it plays out.
Wow. Yeah, so interesting. So what else, is there anything else we need to know about that second week of June? I mean, I think the eclipse is kind of the big story.
Yeah. I mean, we've got this Mercury square Neptune, which everyone will want to look at where that falls in your chart. But for me, again, it'll be Mercury is in my 12th house, and Neptune in sign of Pisces is in my 9th house. So with that going on, so we've got Neptune is currently in the sign of Pisces, which is very mystical, very foggy, very confusing, very 5D. Mercury squares that. So information that causes people to shift their spiritual knowledge, confusing people, making people reevaluate their spiritual understanding. But I think it may confuse people at first.
Okay. So they may be in that kind of murky area.
Yeah, a lot of the astrologists I've been listening to talk about really watching out. You might, listen to some of the other astrological reports that talk about watching out with that Neptune Mercury square for deceptions. um, you know, because there could be like communication coming in that's not truthful, that's
Mhm.
unclear. So you want to watch any decisions right now, like, because the point of these Neptune squares in stuff is so that you do erase what you think is the way it has to be. So it's like it's kind of a reset, but those energies also happen to invite in deception. So you just want to watch out for those things, and you know, for internet, because I think that Uranus energy comes in here as well. So you want to watch out for internet scamming, um, things like that. So that's really something to, you know, I don't want, I could go deeper on that, but that's just a little warning, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip. And you know, what I think would be super helpful for people is to really follow your gut instinct, your intuition. You know,
Yeah.
if you're seeing something or hearing something that doesn't seem quite right, it's just not sitting well with you, trust that versus what you're seeing or hearing. You know, and with the Mercury retrograde energy, for anyone who doesn't know much about that, I mean, that affects communication,
Mhm.
technology, travel, you know, all of those areas. You know, just be aware, offer yourself a little extra time getting places, you know, back up your data and your information, you know, really just take some extra steps to be
Yeah.
careful with words that you choose and how you share information, because it can be taken in out of context,
Great
or
point.
you know,
Yeah.
and in a way that doesn't feel loving or supportive when that's not what your intention was at all.
And also Mercury square Neptune could be truths coming out that clarify. So there's another way to
Oh
interpret,
yeah,
you
beautiful. Yeah,
know,
that's great. That's
right. And then um, Mercury is also small businesses, entrepreneurial, and friends, local, nearby neighbor type friends. So, you know, you might, if for me, that could be like my neighbors possibly, they know the truth about me, and because my neighbors on my property, they think I'm nutty because I had all these campers on there, because I was raising money on hip camp, and they're just like, oh, they couldn't stand it. But it's like, it happened, it was very successful, it was right
yeah,
after last year with COVID, people really wanted to go out. So it's like maybe there's truces come in, communication come in, that clear the confusions about stuff, you know.
yeah.
So um,
I actually think that was
yeah,
a really smart move on your part to utilize your land and
I
offer
know.
for others. And
Yeah, during that COVID last summer, I mean, I was working as a reader and everything from my property as well, but that extra money was really important
yeah,
towards my project. It was like, and you can make really decent money doing that if people own land. Hip camp,
yeah,
great. I love the
that's great. I think that's fantastic, Madeline. All right. So what about the third week of June? Do we have what's happening then? What can we expect?
So we're going to hit that exact on that third week. Oh, sorry, I'm going once. On that third week, we're going to hit that um, exact Uranus square Saturn, right? So let's see, Uranus square Saturn is at 0 degrees. So that's hitting direct June 15th, mid-month. And what else is happening? Mercury is retrograde, Saturn is retrograde, Pluto is retrograde, Jupiter is still not retrograde yet. Planets are still in Gemini. So let's see, what can we talk about that week that's different? I would say that it's pretty much similar astrology as far as everything. I mean, because they're just going to be more exact, that square. The sun
Okay.
is also squaring Neptune, which could be the sun going against some sort of information, or the light shines in on clearing beliefs, squaring information from the sun, or light shines again. The information squaring Neptune is oh, wait, let me just see that. Mercury squaring, where's Mercury? And Neptune is, oh, so it's not even exact. Oh yeah, it's in retrograde, so it's going away from Neptune. So things might be clearing up some of this confusion. We might be, sorry if I'm going all over the place, we're basically looking at the squaring Neptune kind of easing off, and then it's going to come back again where Mercury goes direct. But I say we're kind of getting more clarity around some of this confusion. you know, that kind of thing. That makes sense. Because Sun is squaring Neptune, so a truth comes out. Again, more clarity given to the unclear. Venus squaring Chiron in mid-month at a 4-degree, or whereas Chiron is in Aries, I think. Chiron is at 12 degrees Aries. Venus is okay, so that's going to ease up. So I didn't talk about Venus square Chiron because it's kind of a lot to talk about, but issues, maybe woundings around or fears around being brave in relationships or finances, because Aries about being a warrior, are kind of going to ease up. So I say the mid through month, things are a little calmer.
Okay, that sounds nice.
Yeah, and then Saturn trines the North Node, so you're getting good. Your mission is getting good support. People are mostly more in alignment. Sun is trining Jupiter. That's a really good energy. It's at 8-degree orb though. But anyway, that's still a good energy for support to your mission, your callings. I do think that people, you do want to get onto your true calling North Nodes. You know, if people are saying, is this going to be a good money year or a bad money year? I did card reads on it. And really what I see is it's a good money year if you're on your true path.
Yeah. Well, and I think this energy is really going to
Yes.
spur people towards that.
Yes.
I mean, I'll share an example of something that's been showing up for me recently. Is I had started this project. It's called Read to Me, and it's actually a book, and it's a relationship project that I've been working on, and it's based on my dissolution of my marriage with my not anymore husband, and the story of that, and all of the emotional upset and all of the physical world upset, and just navigating that really, really tough time. And it just so happens right around this time, I'm actually partnering up with, because this is so in alignment with what you're saying, Madeleine, I'm partnering up with a woman that I met down here in South Florida who we're going to be talking about ways that we can potentially collaborate and support one another, because she offers a product that is in perfect alignment with what I'm doing. And it was a facet of what information I'd like to share with folks that I didn't have.
So and it's somewhat from the past before that's come back in some way?
Exactly. Like I met her a few years ago. We've stayed in touch off and on, but not regularly. And now we're actually meeting the second week of June to kind of talk through and see where we can support each other and line each other up. And I'm also doing some workshops that are based on relationships. And I've had a lot more push to finish up the book and finish up the online platform for the work that I'm doing that works in tandem with what she's doing. So all of this is kind of a validation and fuel for me to really like do it, to get that going, and to make sure that that I spend that time and that discipline and dedication.
See, more discipline. You're doing it the right way. You're taking it slower. This is Saturn retrograde. And yes, it is doubling up. For some reason, this Saturn retrograde it's in Aquarius, involves partnering with people on a project. I've gone back and restarted a project myself, doing these cards. A deck of cards with, we're looking at medicinal ones. I don't know how this is going to evolve, and it's involving working with a health person that I know, so it's like, we're being nudged to do the thing again from the past that's part of our future abundance. Yeah.
Well, and it's, it's something that I keep thinking, oh, I really need to do this. Oh, I really need to finish this. And I haven't had that. Like, I've sat down a few times and I'm like, my hands are poised on the keyboard and nothing. I have nothing.
It's the Mercury square Neptune, just so you know. So you don't have to worry about it. And this is a good time to not force decisions, not jump in without clarity and commit to anything. Mercury's in retrograde. Wait till Mercury comes out of retrograde before committing. Make sure you have that clarity.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, this is Mercury retrograde too, is not a time to sign contracts. or, you can
Unless
prepare things.
born with Mercury retrograde. I know people who don't believe in Mercury retrograde. It's really funny. This guy goes, I don't believe in Mercury retrograde. I was at dinner with them and I go, let me check your chart. You were born during Mercury retrograde, which means they don't experience Mercury retrograde. And if you need anything done, have them do it because they will,
Yeah.
it won't.
It won't affect them. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny. Well,
Yeah.
that's very interesting. I never thought about that. That's a good point.
Mhm.
If you experience that,
Yeah.
it's, you don't have that. So you
That's
don't
why
feel it.
I really like Saturn retrograde. I do good work during that period. I'm slower, I'm more methodical, I'm more inwardly guided, connected. I'm born with Saturn in retrograde.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let's close out the month of June here, week 4. And we also have that full moon.
Oh, just to quickly say though, in the middle
Yeah.
of moon, we have a grand water, the middle of June, we have a grand water trine. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Those are very blessed energies. Very romantic again, because we've got Neptune and Venus, Neptune. And I see people might be forming families. I see as the family, Venus, Neptune, soulmate, tribe type things. That's a very blessed energy. So there are shifts and changes, but they really do bring us more blessings. So everyone just try not to worry through any crises. There's just attachment to things that aren't good for you. Going away. They're supposed to
And
go away.
so you said mid-June, so like around like the 15th-ish.
Yep. I don't know how long this water trine lasts. Let me see. June 15th, we've got this water trine. So let me see at what degrees the water trine is at. Let's see. 16, 16, 23. So they're giving me an 8-degree orb on that. Yeah, so let's see how long that trine lasts. Let me just see. Oh, it's a good time to start something on that trine though. If you want to initiate, but we also this week with this Neptune, with this Venus trining, even though I know this is confusing because we've got Mercury in retrograde, you don't want to start something, but let's say you do want to launch an opening to an art show, or you want to make an appointment with someone that day to have a medical thing done. Anytime you see this week with this Venus trine Jupiter is a good week to do something, to initiate conversation with someone, or anyway, this energy of this Jupiter, of this water trine, which is very abundant and blessed energies, goes on till we have another trine opens up. We have a grand trine in the water sign, and then we get another grand air sign. Wow. So these are nice energies. There's kind of rough energies in a way with the Saturn square Uranus, but then we have other great stuff happen. We've got a kite, retrograde. We've got a rectangle. I never look at these aspects that much, but these are really good things happening too in the month. If I don't, not to get too confusing, but this water trine, this grand water trine lasts a long time during this month.
So does it carry out through the end of the month?
Yeah, we're still on it at June 24th. Let's see, I'm going to take it all the way to June 27th. Grand trine then shifts to fire. It shifts to 0 degrees Venus. Oh, but still Venus is trining Neptune and Pisces for a long time. So there's some really good financial and romantic energies going on, and pleasure and fun and sort of like those are nice trines. And Venus comes in and the earth trines in, which is good times. There are good times here.
That's great.
Because we've got everyone coming out of this COVID lockdown, so people are more social. There is more fun to have in June, so you don't want to get too bogged down with these eclipses and changes, and it's like in the backdrop is fun summer.
Well, and one thing I wanted to mention to you about the projects, that during that June 15th timeframe, a good time to start projects. One thing, at least some of my teachers have shared with me, it's not, and especially when there's a Mercury retrograde, it's not a good time to start new projects,
right.
But it is an okay time to restart projects that you had begun before. So this again makes complete sense with a lot of the energies that you mentioned before in the 2 weeks leading up to this, getting clarity on, doing an old project better. So I think this is fantastic.
Brilliant of you, Amalia. Right. So it's like you can start something from the past on those days, on those trining, on that water trine. And water trines are spiritual. And with Jupiter and Pisces, you do want to that is your calling. That is making, and what is a spiritual calling is just something that helps humanity. It can be growing more organic vegetables for your local community, or it can be doing more astrological endeavors, starting a business that enable. I know people who are starting businesses online that enable people to have sort of more freedom, and they don't have to like follow all the licensing rules, because they're doing it online as consulting. So there's like inventions, different ways to sort of set online businesses that are helping people become more abundant. Things are opening up.
Yeah.
But they're spiritual in the sense that it's progressive. Maybe that's the better word. It's progressive.
I love
People are going to initiate these are progressive new ideas, and it's because of Uranus being in the sign of Taurus, which is finances, which is a second house, which is material possessions and things. We are going to there. It's like a new technical logical advances in finances that help liberate people still happening.
Yeah.
So, you know, these
so
changes
cool.
are really just aligning us better. So
Yeah.
people get freaked out by them. Try not to.
Try not to. Okay, so let's wrap up the month with week 4 and just a quick highlight of the full moon energy, but we'll of course be doing a lot for that as well. So hopefully you will tune in.
So yeah, let's look at the 20.
Actually, there's more like 4.5 weeks in June, really. So we can
Yeah,
tell that last week and a
the
half.
full moon is on the 24th, right?
Yep.
So let's take a look at that. We're off the Saturn square Uranus. We're coming down from that. The moon is trining the ascendant during that period, which is really kind of a nice thing. So that's a good energy. Mars is squaring Uranus. Plus we do have a Pluto. I forget, we do have a Sun opposition. Plus we do have a Pluto oppositions. We've got some Pluto oppositions that I forget to talk about. We can't talk about everything, but those are pretty not so great that can be coming up.
And those feel like what can
well,
people
let me find it. Where did the Pluto, we might be out of it, but Pluto opposition I think is more towards the beginning of the month, which I forget what it opposes, darn it. I have to go back to the beginning of the month. We'll take a look at that before we end the whole thing. Sure. But at this point in the month, we've got Saturn trine Uranus. I'm looking, we've got Jupiter conjuncting the descendant. Wow, that could be very strong relationships becoming more, it's at 0 degrees. It's right a strong conjunction on the descendant. So people might be expanding relationships. And the sun is trining the descendant. So yeah, relationships. And then the sun is trining Jupiter. So this could be a really sort of initiation of new relationships and new projects with relationships. Mercury is trining Saturn. That's information that helps everybody on their careers, or communication, supportive of careers. I think that's, I think that's a nice end of the month, to be honest with you. Venus is opposing Pluto, which could be arguments and fears triggering and romances, but that is just to get things out of the way so you can go into union in these projects. Venus is trining Neptune, so those are soulful relationships and true soulful missions coming through, guiding you, because that's a trine, that's a flow. So we want to look at the moon there. The moon is in Capricorn. We're going to have that's a new moon, or is that a full moon? I guess
it's a full moon. Yeah, full moon.
Full
on
moon.
The 24th. Yeah,
full moon. In Cancer and Capricorn. So that would be a releasing, it's possible career shifting or structuring. Cancer's in home. Cancer's the 4th house, home and family. So yeah, new structures around home and family with people. You could be starting a new family, a new home. Some people could have well, of course, people are always giving birth, but depending if it's in your 4th or 5th house, it's expanding your 4th house. So there'll be family expansion, family changes, and then creating a new structure around new families, new homes, moving. So yeah, because usually, or you could start a project in renovation, or start investing in properties. A lot of people who have North Node in Cancer are doing a lot of Airbnb properties. So there might be an initiation of starting and fixing the foundation on a house or a home.
That's a good one. You got to have a good foundation, solid structure. Yeah.
It's Capricorn, which is about structure, and it's happening while Saturn is in retrograde. So let's just quickly take a look at Saturn is still in retrograde in Aquarius at that point. So yeah, people could go back and fund things, and you could do crowdfunding for projects. This would be a good time for crowdfunding while Jupiter goes into, and then Jupiter is going to retrograde into. So if you're on a really good mission that really does help humanity, that's really, you could really do well crowdfunding. Just
Nice.
so you,
That sounds cool. All right, so really super quickly, can you touch back in on the where is it?
Yeah, let's go to the beginning of the first week. Yeah, let's talk
the
about
sun
that.
opposite opposing Pluto, just to touch in on that, and then we'll wrap up this really.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting month. There's movement, there's change. Maybe it's some upheaval for sure with those Saturn squares, you know, Uranus. So, but it's changed. So what are we looking at? We are looking at Pluto opposition something. Let me look which planet.
Yeah, sun opposing Pluto.
Yeah.
Early in the month. Just trying to get a sense of what is that going to feel
Mars.
like?
It's Mars opposition Pluto.
Okay.
Mars in the sign of Cancer opposing Pluto. Yeah, because Mars is going to be at 27 degrees and Pluto is at 26 degrees. So Mars at 26 degrees. So we're looking at June 7th. We have Mars at 27 degrees Cancer and Pluto at 26. So let's go back a couple days. So it's going to exact, Mars is 26, Pluto at 26. So on June 5th, we have an exact Mars opposition Pluto. That could be aggression. There could be some kind of a shootout. Mars is aggression. Pluto can be death and rebirth, aggression. You know, Pluto is sort of like death. So it's possible we're seeing some kind of aggressive. Mars is in Cancer, so it might be really frustrated, and is hitting Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. There might be aggression towards government.
Yeah, that's
violence. Yeah, violence or fighting or war against some kind of an establishment. Hopefully it's not bad. Hopefully it's a minor thing, because Mars being in Cancer is not super strong. Yeah. It's a little more empathic. So maybe it's a frustration outburst. It's more like a frustration outburst. I don't know that it's like a deliberate aggression against it, but maybe the restrictions, like you say, the restrictions just cause too much frustration for people and they just say, forget it. And it might show up as violence, but Mars in Cancer, in my opinion, would be less violent.
That's kind of the sense that I feel too.
Yeah.
Would you say this is
for throw a card on it?
What about for people? Yeah. What about for people with like interpersonal relationships? Would this be the similar energy? Would it be a similar energy for them? Like that was more the collective energy. Would you say for
possible people get emotionally triggered and they lash out, or somebody's a Mars in Cancer would be a frustrated person, triggers you, and you lash out.
Okay.
And a worst case scenario, it could be a fight that's violent, worst case scenario. So if you're in a touchy situation with a relationship in an environment where a person's slightly violent, don't be around them during these days. Like stay away from anybody that's a little bit volatile, but also everybody might be a little volatile there, because Pluto is a very deep emotional, it's a deep emotional experience, but it's also karma and it's death and rebirth. So it'll be a complete transformative. Mars may do something, Mars is male energy or action or like aggressiveness or fighting that comes, it could be a deep belief in a death and rebirth of something. So hopefully, I hope for the best on that.
It always is. It's always for the best. All right, and Glenn, let's end on a fun card note.
Yes, we need a happy note.
If you could, do a quick card for the month of June, just kind of over the overall.
Yeah, let's take a look at the month of June. How are we seeing some of these more challenging aspects, and then what is the anecdote? Future. Finances. Okay, good. Death to, this is interesting. Now we do get the 10 of Cups. So changes in home, right? Death, transformation to knowing what we truly want, and death to turning away from what we truly want or what truly inspires us, because the future we are going to be free to, we don't want to be held back and restricted. So our future is going to open up, so we become more financially independent in the long haul, and we're going to break out of things that are constricting us. One more clarity on that Aces and that Eight of Swords there. Could we get a clarifier on the Eight of Swords? There's that Queen of, yeah, so we're pulling away from, we're discovering that we can be more financially abundant. We're not dependent on the system so much, where we can be more free, more liberated. Let's see, what else can we see for this month? Another clear message. Well, it's hard for us to see the changes, but you know, there is a lot of victory here occurring, and sort of more adventures again with that Jupiter. So I would say there's the 10 of Cups. So I would say we're looking at getting over, we're letting go of these blocks and restrictions to a more emotionally heart fulfilling life that really is our true purpose, you know, and we're going to release those thinkings, those thoughts that keep us out of alignment with not doing what we truly desire to do, because what living your Jupiter in your North Node is what you truly do desire. Like it is genuinely, and I do get Mars Cancer, we do get an empathic male energy. So there's good opportunity, financial opportunity to put people in union together for the future. So it's very much a month to stabilize the new future.
It's beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
I love that culmination of the month of June through the cosmos, which pretty much was in alignment with the astrology. So
and it may come with bumps and bruises. Again, we've got extremes. You know, these energies can play out in extremes or lesser or milder. It's hard to tell, but on the whole, there's going to be great stuff.
It's going to be good stuff. Yeah. Well, thank you once again, Madeleine. People out there who are interested in reaching out to Madeleine, you can reach out to her via email if you want to share your email address with the listeners, Madeleine.
MADELAINEPARKER111@gmail.com. And what I really love to focus on is helping people live their Jupiters, get on your true North Node path, and live your MC and watch your life become inflow abundant effortlessly.
That sounds so good. And I, of course, am Amalia Natalio. You can find me at karmickindness.com, KarmickKindness.com. And of course, Madeleine and I are on all social media channels, but you can find us. We'll have information in the notes. And we thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Soulful Sessions Cosmic Forecast for the month of June. And we will be with you again next month. Until then, thanks for being with us.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Amalia. Talk to you soon.